So it's recording now, and a few more people joined while you were doing the housekeeping. They may not have heard that. They may not have heard that to unmute yourself, you just press *6 on the phone.
Can you please tell us who joined the meeting?
This
So
is
anybody
Becky
who just-
Spielman.
Good morning, Becky. Okay, can we ask everybody to hit, to put yourself on mute if you are not on mute, and in order to unmute, it will be *6.
Are we ready to go?
I believe so, Kate.
Okay, well, quick question. When we go to do the roll call, are you going to do it or shall I?
We will, I can ask Bill to do the roll call.
That's great. Okay, to the commission members, has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from January 22nd? If anybody has any changes, please unmute yourself and let us know. Okay, hearing no changes, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. This is Kim Kennison.
Second?
This John Schuyler will second.
Okay, Bill, will you call the roll?
Okay, Ms. Butte? Let's say, here.
I'm sorry, Bill, what did you say?
I'm calling the roll now, so I'll give everyone's name and they would say, I guess they're here.
Yes.
First one, Ms. Butte.
Whose last name is that?
Kate.
Bush.
Bush, you're right.
Bush.
Sorry.
Bill, how long have you known me?
I know.
I'm abstaining as I was not present.
Okay, you're up to Mr. Gillette.
Here and I approve.
Okay. Ms. Kennison.
Approve. Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc.
Yes, approve.
Mr. Schuyler. Yes, that's a yes. Ms. Seelman.
I abstain.
This is rough with the *6.
Yeah.
And Ms. Waldron.
Abstain.
Mm. Okay, so we have
Minutes.
you have 3 approvals.
4.
Or
4 yes,
What,
3
John?
abstain.
Okay. 4,
okay.
3 abstain.
Okay, let's move on to the next order of business, the town of Brooklyn. And I believe we have a couple of members present from Brooklyn. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and then giving us a status report. Brooklyn?
You have to hit *6.
I am.
We did. We're good.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you.
This is Rick Ives, First Selectman of Brooklyn.
And Stephanie Levin, Finance Director in Brooklyn.
Can you give us a status report on your situation?
Sure. So some of the findings that were in our 2019 audit stated that an accounting manual needed to be developed, as well as the hiring of a finance director, as well as staff that would be able to know what our how to do our financial reporting. So since July of last year, the town of Brooklyn and the Board of Ed hired 3 finance assistants and had hired a finance director who eventually ended up leaving, and then I was hired in March of this year. So the business office is fully staffed at this time. And we also coordinated with an accounting specialist outside to go through our general ledgers on both the town and the Board of Ed side to start cleaning up some of the errors that had happened in the past. And then finally, just this week, I have submitted the first draft of an accounting manual to the first selectman and the superintendent for review.
That's good.
Not sure if there's anything else that you need an update on.
So
It's been a crazy 2 months.
Right. And you, let's see, I'm trying to look at so you did finish your 2019 audit.
Correct.
When was that filed?
It was filed at the end of March, and then I know that I've been doing some certifications with our auditor over the last 2 weeks or so.
Okay. I know it's a little bit early on in the game, but do you think you will be able to follow your 2020 audit on time?
My goal is that it's filed by Thanksgiving, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I'm going on vacation during Christmas, so it'll definitely be before that.
Yeah, a lot of that is going to be out of your control, that the auditors.
Yes, I keep saying that's my goal, and that's what I'm aiming for, is an on-time audit, understanding that sometimes these things happen, but my goal is before Christmas.
Yep. Okay.
But we're in a position to have schedules ready like we've never had before. So we should be giving ourselves every possible chance to get it done on time.
Okay. And, are you getting regular financial reports to your Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance?
Yes, they're going to every meeting, and Board of Ed.
Okay. Okay. And are you guys on the same accounting system with your Board of Ed, or is it two separate ones?
It's the same accounting system, but separate databases.
Okay. Okay. Let me open it up to other commissioners that have questions. Remember to star 6. No other
This is Commissioner LeBlanc. I would just ask, could you provide an update on how the budget is looking for this fiscal year with just about 6 weeks to go before the end of the year?
We're projecting a surplus of about $453,000 as of last week.
Yeah, very good.
That's a combination of both town and school.
John, do you have any questions?
I do, Kate. It's
Yeah,
Kim.
go ahead.
Questions?
Can you tell us how, it's good to know in this pandemic environment, the impact that COVID is having on your town and your Board of Ed and the students? I'd just like to hear an update on that, if you would, please.
I would say currently we are not seeing a huge impact. We continue to keep our staff on payroll, so we do have that expense, but we are reopening at a limited amount our offices so people can come back into the office and get some work done in the office rather than from home. But throughout this, they've been working from home, so we've managed to continue those services to our community. For next year, it's difficult to say how it's going to impact us. I know that through the budget process, they're encouraging us, the Board of Finance is encouraging us to be at a 0. So that's what we're aiming for. We're not sure so far what that will do for our community as far as tax revenues. We haven't seen the impact that we anticipated with a lower tax collection in the last quarter of the fiscal year, which we thought we may see, but we haven't. So that's good.
that we're a quarterly tax town. We worried that our April 1 payments were gonna be affected. As of today, it looks like we're gonna be within, oh God, $8,000 or $9,000 is all we seem to be out right now. So, we're not sure what the July 1 payment's gonna be, but right now, we're not feeling an impact.
Do you know how much of your, what percentage of your taxes are paid through escrow accounts?
Yeah, about 51.5%.
Okay, all right. Do we have the auditors for Brooklyn here?
We expected them to be on this call, but I'm not sure that they are.
So can either of you address the restatements in your audit report?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Oh. Yes.
Hey, this is Sean from King.
Hi, Sean.
How are you?
Can you address the restatements?
What was the question?
Can you address the restatements in the audit report?
Oh, yeah. So we split out the WPCA fund into an enterprise fund and took it out of the governmental activities. So if you look at page 54 in the audit report, you'll see that in the little chart. A large number of the adjustments were related to that. There were some old interfund balances that were kind of accumulating for years that were just kind of errors. So we eliminated a lot of those. And the BOE had a tax liability that was put on the books for old back taxes that they're working to address.
A tax liability?
Yep.
Payroll taxes?
Yeah.
How big?
A couple $100,000.
And is there a systemic issue that caused that?
There was, but it's been cured, and they're working with their consultant and attorneys to try to waive like the penalties.
Okay, that is quite a process. I've been there. So the cash situation, where does that stand?
What do you mean by the cash situation?
Didn't you have, I might be confusing my towns, but I thought you were the ones who had the,
You're accurate, Kate. It's the reconciliations within the bank accounts.
Thank you. That the cash was not, you weren't reconciling, you couldn't reconcile to the banks, and it was a significant variance.
So they have interfund pooled cash balances.
Yep.
And there's a cash fund that it should reconcile back to, and it just wasn't because there was a lot of extra entries that were hitting those cash balance accounts.
Okay.
So
that was all covered in the restatements?
Yeah, so that's part of the restatement. So it was our understanding to kind of give it a clean slate going forward, so they had a starting point.
Okay. Okay. Have you been consulted on the accounting manual?
I sent Stephanie a couple of example manuals that she was going to start with.
Okay. All right. Again, any other commissioners that have questions?
I'm just, this is Commissioner LeBlanc. I'm taking a look at that prior period restatement, and I'm seeing under other various adjustments, just over $1 million reduction in the general fund.
Mm-hmm.
And I apologize if you already covered it, but, you know, what is that speaking to in the impact?
Some of that was the BOE tax restatement, and some of it was there was some old capital projects that were overspent, so there was an outstanding balance due to the general fund, but that general fund was going to have to fund it eventually, so we just kind of eliminated that.
Wait, you just kind of eliminated that?
Yes, it was part of the clean slate.
I assume they went through all the proper procedures to do that, though.
We wrote it off.
And are we improving our capital reporting so that this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, they're working to control the capital project fund. They're not going to have overspent balances in it.
Okay. Diane, do you have anything?
Is there a specific, I'm sorry, it's Kim. Forgive me, Diane, if I overstepped you.
Okay.
Is there a specific footnote that is addressing or tells us the walkthrough of this restatement so that we can clearly identify it versus a verbal conversation that can be provided to this commission?
Page 54. It'd be nicer to have a little narrative with that rather than just the numbers. Okay. Diane, did you have, go ahead.
I guess just as a follow-up to that, I mean, you know, that statement, note 16, is showing that the town's general fund balance was restated from what was $1,470,000 down to a revised fund balance of $515,000. I mean, it's, you know, again, you know, you're close to $1 million reduction via restatement in the general fund's financial position. I agree it would help to just, for the record, at some point to have an understanding or something identified that speaks to, you know, that substantial reduction in fund balance. I mean, it was basically cut by 2/3. Fortunately, you know, for fiscal 19, you did have positive results of operations of $450,000, and it sounds like you're headed in a pretty much the same direction for 6/30/20. So you'll be in a good position as far as replenishing that general fund balance. But it's a big hit. It's a big hit to that fund balance.
Well, you have $1 million of adjustment there that just says other various adjustments.
Yeah, I think, this is Diane, I think if we can get an explanation for that, a little bit more detail, that would be helpful.
I agree. I think that is prudent, that we definitely need an explanation for the million.
Okay, we can put together something. We'll just have to look into the detail more.
Okay. Any further questions for Brooklyn?
Kate, this is Diane. I think I did hear the auditors say that they have not reviewed the accounting procedures that were drafted. I think it would probably be prudent for them to at least look at that.
I agree.
If I heard correctly.
Yeah, it sounds like you supplied them with samples, but I think you need to review when their document is completed or in a draft form, a final draft form, review and comment on the appropriateness of their manual.
This is Stephanie from Brooklyn. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I do want the first selectman and superintendent to review it first. And as I said before, I have just sent it to them yesterday to review it. I certainly planned on sending it to Sean as well. Just wanted to give them a first look at it first before I sent it over. So Sean, you will expect to see it soon, but I just haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Stephanie, thank you for that clarification. Sure.
Stephanie, are you over both the Board of Ed and the town, or are you just on the town side?
I'm on both.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
I'm good.
For the next meeting, I know that they had some audit findings. Was it just the manual, or there's one other item? I think there's one other finding.
There was, well, deficiencies in monitoring. There were two other findings.
Yep.
That's the book.
Yeah, I think they need a little bit of time to develop their internal controls. Because there are a lot of, look like there are deficiencies there. So, you know, we're gonna wanna hear progress on that at our next meeting, which will be in July. So what's the date of our next meeting?
Yep, it is July 29th.
Maybe even in person.
Maybe.
That would be nice.
Yeah, so, so we do look forward to getting updates on that in July. Okay?
Sure will.
All right, so then let's move on to Ellington. If the representatives of Ellington could unmute yourself and give us an update on where you stand.
This is Doug Gillette. I just wanted to interject that we're bond counsel to the town of Ellington, so I need to recuse myself.
Thanks, Doug.
Good morning. This is Tiffany Pignataro, Finance Officer with the town of Ellington.
Good morning, Tiffany.
Thanks. How are you?
Oh, just peachy.
Yeah, so just to give an update with regards to the town of Ellington's fiscal 19 situation, we currently are working with our auditors, Mahoney Sable, to complete the fiscal 19 audit. All of the audit request items have been provided to Mahoney Sable at this point in time. They were provided at the beginning of the month, and it's my understanding that Mahoney Sable anticipates to have draft financials to us by the second week in June, and with a finalization of the third week in June for our fiscal 19 audit.
Okay.
And just to speak a bit about the fiscal 20 audit, we have changed audit firms. We will be working with Bloom Shapiro for the fiscal 20 audit. We've been in close contact with our audit team. We have preliminary audit work dates scheduled for mid-July, and we have audit fieldwork dates scheduled for August. So we are full speed ahead to make sure that we get the fiscal 20 audit completed in a timely fashion and filed prior to it reaching delinquent status.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, that's my goal. That's what I promised everyone when I came on board. So we've got our dates set, and it'll be a tough summer, but we're looking forward to getting this back on track for the first time in a while.
Okay. So I'll open it up to other commissioners before I say anything. Do we have, John, do you have anything?
No thoughts here.
Okay. Mike?
I'm good.
Diane?
I'm good.
Kim?
I have one question, is the 2018 audit findings. So in addition to, I know that the priority is first to get the audit reports completed, but do you have any kind of update on the 2018 corrective action plan?
Yes, so the two findings that we had in the 2018 audit were with regards to the accounting for the LoSAP plan that we have, as well as timeliness of audit filings and financial statement filings. So with regards to the LoSAP plan, we have incorporated that correction into our fiscal 19 audit, so that should not be an issue. That should be an addressed item with this upcoming audit that you'll see finalized at the mid to end of June. And then with regards to the timeliness of financial statement filing, audit filings, we have, obviously 19 won't be there, but the fiscal 20 audit, we have all the dates set, and we're working very closely with our audit firm to ensure that we get that back on track as an item addressed with the fiscal 20 audit.
So where do you stand on your accounting system? Because looking at the 2018 findings, you had all your funds in one, basically accounted for everything in one fund, and then
Yes.
had to be Yeah, so where do you stand with that?
Yes, so we are actually in the process, in our fiscal 21 budget, we've been approved for the accounting software upgrade on the town side. So we are currently at the beginning stages of finalizing our contract with Tyler Technologies to move forward with an accounting platform for to go into effect for July 1st, 2021, which would be the fiscal 22 audit. So we're still unfortunately dealing with the antiquated system for now. But I think previously there was the absence of the finance officer position at the town of Ellington. And I think now that the position has been filled with myself, I have a strong audit background. I feel like we'll be able to get the financial information sorted in a more timely fashion to enable the audit to be on time and on schedule. And then obviously with the fiscal 22 implementation go live date for the new system that actually has fund accounting capabilities, I think we'll be on the right path with that. So we have that budgeted for this year to work towards integration and development of that platform.
Okay, so you will still have to make all those manual entries for fiscal 20 and fiscal 21.
That's correct. Yes, unfortunately. Mm-hmm.
God bless you.
Yeah, we're working through it. Yeah, but not for long, right? We have an end date in sight, so it's we've got our head held high and we'll get through it. But we're definitely looking forward to a system that actually is built for fund accounting for sure.
Okay.
What did you say the name of the system is?
We're currently between Munis and Infinite Visions, which are both Tyler Technologies products. So we originally were thinking Munis. However, we're currently exploring the Infinite Visions, which is a step down from the Munis system and significantly cheaper. So we're just kind of at point now where we're making a decision between those two platforms. Our Board of Education is currently using the Infinite Visions platform, and it's my understanding that either the Munis or the Infinite Visions platform would speak to our Board of Ed Infinite Visions platform. So those would line up very, very nicely, because currently that's the manual process as well.
Yeah, my one suggestion in looking at these would be make sure that you're going to have support beyond Tyler. One of the things I have found most valuable over the years is being able to pick up the phone and call call a colleague and say, hey, how did you do this?
Sure.
So just a thing to consider.
Great. Yeah, thank you. We'll definitely keep that in mind for sure. That's great advice.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Ellington? I'm hoping that by our next meeting, we'll be seeing an audit for fiscal 19.
That would make two of us. Yeah, we're very hopeful. You will have an audit report. There's no two ways about that. So.
Kate, can we get an update on COVID?
Absolutely.
Sure. With respect to the town of Ellington?
Yeah.
Sure. So COVID, we're currently operating at kind of a skeleton crew here in the actual offices. Department heads have returned back to work in the buildings, obviously face masks, disinfectant spray, and hand sanitizer galore. But we are looking to set the date for a soft reopening to begin, physically serving our taxpayers in our community again. Currently, the department heads have been tasked with, assessing the needs of their department and how we're going to move forward with the new restrictions in place for how we can serve the public. Our fiscal 21 budget just passed, I believe it was 2 weeks ago now. The Board of Finance approved and set the mill rate, so we had a 0 mill increase from year over year, and we have a strategy in place as to how we will attain that. Significant amount of that strategy was, taking a hard look at the remaining spending for fiscal 20 and kind of paring back where we can and returning a lot of those funds to unrestricted fund balance to be able to open the fiscal 21 year with a larger pot, if you will, in that undesignated fund balance. So currently, we're in the process of performing a budget to actual analysis each month for the Board of Selectmen meetings to understand areas where we can kind of pivot or act quickly to kind of course correct and monitor how COVID is impacting us on a monthly basis with respect to our set budgets, both for fiscal 20 and fiscal 21.
Okay, any other questions for Ellington? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bill, can you update us on who's outstanding for your 2019 audits?
Oh, okay, we'll move on to.
Can we talk about Plymouth?
Oh, sorry, I forgot about them. They're not here, right?
Correct. I don't
Yes,
think so.
Yes, I'm on the call.
Oh,
Oh, hi.
Oh,
So how you doing over there?
Good. How are you?
Hanging in
Sorry,
there?
I have something printing right now, so it's like 25 pages long, so it should stop in a minute, hopefully.
Your audit report?
No, we have a police building committee meeting this evening, so I have a 20-something page cost estimate to just take a quick look through before we have our meeting tonight. Which, you know, is probably going a whole lot of nowhere considering the situation right now, so it's kind of a moot point, but.
Kate, this is Becky. Just for the record, we're the actuaries for the town of Plymouth.
Yep. Okay, so let's just get an update on Plymouth in general.
We're still standing. We're making it through. I think to mirror what Ellington just said, you know, we're kind of taking a look at our current year results right now, and we did put a spending freeze in place. We did cut back some hours for some people, but in general, the town hall is closed to the public, and it has been since the beginning of this, but all of the town hall staff have still been in place every day. Our library did close for a small period of time to the public where they were working from home. They are back working, however, they are still only doing curbside, so we did cut back on some part-time workers there, but for the most part, we have been paying most of our employees. We did have a few go out on COVID concerns. We had several go out in our police department with COVID-related illness. I think we did have one person test positive. So we are looking at same thing with our current year results to try to maximize the amount that we can put into our undesignated fund. We also just passed our budget on May 18th with a $0 mil increase, and to do that, considering the current circumstances and the current environment, the mayor thought it was very important not to put a mill rate increase in place. However, that was done by an allocation of fund balance, with an allocation of fund balance in our budget for next year. I hope that we don't have to use that, but we have a lot of uncertainty going forward with our tax collections. We did reduce our tax collection anticipated percentage in our budget for next year. We did that across all lines of our taxes, including prior year and interest and liens. So we hope we've adjusted for all of the reduction in tax revenue and the uncertainty surrounding that. So we think that we have that built into our budget as best that we can. Come July, a significant amount of our taxes come from escrow, so we don't think we will have a cash flow issue. Our tax collector is more concerned with January than he is with July. Other than that, we had a decent amount of surplus sitting in our salt and sand for this past year. However, our excess cost came in just about $100,000 lower than what we had budgeted. So there goes our surplus for salt and sand. So that's going to kind of even out in our budget as we go into the end of the year. On our management letter points, we do now have monthly monitoring through Bloom Shapiro for our cyber risk. We do have them on a platform that they are doing a monthly monitoring for both the town and the school system. And that we made sure to put that in place, particularly with the COVID. I did push that along, and the mayor did get that in place. We also do have a fraud tip line in place now to address another point. So that is through CCM, through an outside service. And I recently closed the Board of Ed Internal Service Fund, which has been sitting for 2 years, which was the recommended amount of time to allow for the insurance runoff of any claims. We did close that bank account. The Board of Ed got rid of the deficit that was about $76,000 in that fund, and so that one is now closed. So we've addressed a lot of our points. One point we did not address yet is the procurement has not gone into place, a policy on the procurement. The mayor has not gone forward with that at all. But other than that, anything else? Did I miss something?
No, sounds like you guys are doing good, on the right track. I think probably, we'll want to see one more good audit.
Yeah, we did. We actually did have. We did decide with the current conditions we were going to go out to RFP. I ended up. I had some surgery back in March, so I was out of the office for a while. So we ended up, and then the whole COVID thing hit. So we didn't end up doing that, and the Board of Finance agreed that it was best to just have Bloom continue for another year before we go out to RFP. So they are scheduled to come out, I believe, the 3rd week of July for interim, and then we'll move forward. But we are in a better place than we were. We are fully integrated on Infinite Visions right now. We do still have some training to do in terms of report writing, but we have been using the system for a year now, and it has definitely helped with our ability to just do our journal entries and hit our funds directly and not have to deal with do froms on such a large basis. We do continue to consolidate our cash accounts, which I think most of you know. We had a plethora of cash accounts. We are still whittling them down. I closed, I believe, 7 bank accounts last week or the week before. And I think that's it.
Okay. Do any commissioners have questions for Plymouth?
It's Doug Gillette. Anne Marie, does the 2021 budget maintain the commitment to staffing in the finance department?
We actually have, so we are in the process of moving most of our unions to bi-weekly payroll. We're weekly for some of them. We've moved our non-union people, our public works, and I'm trying to think if we moved anybody else. No, I think just those 2 we moved to bi-weekly. There are 3 or 4 contracts that are in negotiations right now. I know the mayor is trying to move those to bi-weekly also. We no longer have our dispatchers. We outsourced them as of April 1st, so we lost probably 10 employees there. So we are moving my payroll clerk to part-time, so from 37.5 hours down to 28 hours. But I do have staffing still in there for Ann Harder's time that she's still been working with me. Eventually, I think, I'd like to move that into just a permanent position, and there is money in the budget for that, to keep that either whether it's Ann or whether I have that as a permanent position, a permanent part-time position. But we're still at a manageable level, I think.
Okay,
and as
good.
we continue with our process improvements, our closing of bank accounts, it's definitely we're still streamlining. We're definitely still streamlining.
Anybody else?
Yes, Anne Marie, I do think though it would be important knowing the road that you've traveled, and we like to hear about efficiencies. But a lot of times when you get done with efficiencies, sometimes people then administration could attempt to cut back too soon or leave you open. And the last thing that we would want from this commission would be to go backwards. So if you have any hesitation that you do not have the appropriate staffing levels, I think it's important for us to know that.
I don't right now. Recently, it's been a little bit difficult, obviously, with this COVID thing. Anne wasn't working for a while, and she has been working from home, a couple of days a week or one day a week. And I know she's busy with other towns and with the Port Authority. So, that has been a little bit of a challenge. But overall, I think we are still managing. And if I do get to that point, I know that I do speak up to the mayor and tell him that I need more staffing, I need more help. But we have been, hold on one second for me, if you could. Okay, sorry, I needed to check to see if my staff was who's in the office behind me. We have been working at basically a part-time level with that staff member that is being cut. She has, since she started, has been utilizing a significant amount of sick time, has been sick a lot. So the level that we've been working at is, and the amount of hours that she is moving to is pretty much what I've had all along. So it's not really going to be a reduction of hours. It's really in line with what I've had.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have anything else? Anything else for Ellen, or for Plymouth? Okay.
I'll just say to Anne Marie, this is Diane. Nice work getting everything up to date, and you've done a wonderful job.
Thank you, and I appreciate you taking my calls, and obviously Robin, who has been helpful to me over the past few years. It's been challenging, but it's good to have people to reach out to and kind of, bounce things off of and have other towns. And I will definitely say to Ellington that if they need they need to give me a call, they can always give me a call, because we did, go through the Infinite Visions transition. We're still going through it. Our Board of Ed is supposed to be going to Infinite Visions as of July 1st. There are some limitations with Infinite Visions, with the things that we have found that, I'd love for them to do a little bit better, and I'd love for them to focus on the municipal side versus on the Board of Ed side, that they don't seem to quite grasp that it's, some of the things that they put forth are not correct accounting convention. But overall, we've seen it's definitely helped us efficiency-wise from where we were before. And I'm guessing that whatever Ellington has, their, stone tablets and abacus is probably in Infinite Visions would be, if they decide to go with that, would be a huge step up from where they are right now.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Anne Marie, definitely thank you. I want to ditto again on Diane's comments, and not all towns come forward and make all the corrections and pay attention to the details. And we definitely appreciate your hard work and your efforts in moving this town forward.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
It's hard to come out from under a ghost of, and we had a big one here, and he still lingers.
All right. Thank you, Anne Marie.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Bill, outstanding 2019 audits.
Okay, so you should have received a one-page summary of the 8 municipalities that we're still waiting on their 2019 reports. And I gave a brief history, a 3-year look back. And we do have an update. Wyndham is now projecting issuance of the report sometime in mid-June. And Canterbury is projecting issuance in the early part of June.
Okay.
Thompson, we recently approved their extension until May 30th. Of course, they're going to need they're definitely going to need more time, so they'll be looking for another extension sometime through June.
Do
So
we know, are we concerned with any of these, that the problems are
a lot of these
systemic problems, or just?
They have not indicated that COVID is the reason. A lot of these are repeat offenders that have just kind of continued.
Okay.
And I believe the problem with Plainfield is I believe that's where the finance director was with Brooklyn, I believe, and then she moved back. She was with Plainfield and she went to Brooklyn, then she went back to Plainfield, and that caused.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right, and the tier status report. Kim, do you want to?
Kate, this is Becky. Just before we get started, I wanted to let you know I need to duck off at the top of the hour, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. So, Kim, can you brief us on the tiers?
Definitely. So this is our second time issuing this tiers report. It is a little delayed. We had actually had this report done, really wanted it completed by the end of the calendar year. It was delayed a little bit. What we did differently this year is we held meetings with the towns that were going to be, shall I say, graduated to the tier, and or not the ones that fell off, but there were 2 new towns that actually came into the tier structure. And so we thought it would be good to have these meetings. It turned into constructive meetings, some positive feedback and some negative feedback that we took into consideration. Excuse me. And from the consideration of one of the towns, it shed light on the fact of the structure, the legislature, the requirements that we have to adhere to. Bill, myself, and Julian definitely know that we want to make changes to the legislature, but we have these constraints right now. So after that meeting, we did take into consideration changing the format, and we eliminated there was a 1-page format that took them and pronounced them standing out there. And rather than doing that, we then provided this summary into the report, and then changed the report so everybody is on the same level playing field, as if it was a report that could have been embedded within the the fiscal indicators. So what has changed to the report is the far right column, which is the tier status. We then put in a coding, whether ND will mean you're a non-designated, NE would equal non-eligible. So if you're looking at the beginning of the tier report, you see Andover at the top, you'll see the ND, the NE, so they are not eligible and they are not designated. If you go all the way down to Bridgeport, they're the first one that would be non-designated. They were eligible, and they're a tier 3. So that is how each one of these towns is racking. And then there are 2 towns that we put a special footnote in, one being New London and the other New Haven. And there's some codes, one being a U1 and a U2. And the reason for that is we actually had a meeting with New London. They were new to the tier structure, and they had made a lot of progress. This particular report is old information. It's 2018 data. So, he had completed his 2019, the town did, and the mayor was very strong about the presentation of the progress that they made, and it would hurt them posting out old data. So we took that into consideration since we had new data, and we footnoted the fact that they would not be in the tier if this report was included the 2019 data. The same with New Haven, their tier structure would have changed. So as an overview of this particular report, and it's a segue into the next report that the presentation that we're going to talk about, is that kind of a heads up on looking at this report as a snapshot, and we are really trying to look and move to more of an automated, rather than it takes a whole year to be able to compile this data. And then each town, as you know, they're either eligible, and so we would like to begin to, we are moving towards a more automated tiering, as well as data analysis. And that I wanted to bring that to the commission's attention, and in our next presentation, I'll share some of the details. So the results of this particular tier structure, you're going to find, if you added them up, that there are one municipality that is eligible under the tier 1, and that happens to be Hamden. Under tier 2, we have 5 municipalities that are eligible under the tier 2, and those being East Hartford, Naugatuck, New London, Torrington, and Waterbury. Under tier 3 eligibility, you're going to see that there are Bridgeport, Derby, New Britain, and New Haven. And then we have our 3 designated that are under the MARB: Hartford, West Haven, and Sprague. So any questions about the tiers before I go further?
I have none. Go ahead.
This is Diane. I have none, but it's a very nice report, Kim.
Oh, thank you. I cannot take full credit. It is definitely the team of Bill, Morgan, who is on the phone, and Jean, who is on the phone. This is the work that they compile all year round in order to build to some really great reporting. Thank you.
Anybody else with questions or comments? Kim, what kind of action are you looking for from us right now?
I really wanted to bring it to your attention, but there are, if you were to ask me about red flags, there are a couple red flags that we have been watching out for, and something to take into consideration. If you look at the fund balance of 2018, one town that I would like to speak about is Derby. And they have a negative 5%. Yeah. And they continue to have a deficit. They are planning for another deficit in 2018. We met with Derby because this is their first year. They have extensive audit findings. I'm thinking in the vicinity of 15 audit findings from that year.
So shall we invite them to a meeting?
I think that I would like to say yes, voluntarily, but I think that it would be helpful if we had their 2019 results to see where the needle moves. They're anticipated to have that by the end of June. It says May, but I would assume that it could be June. We will have their results before the next meeting. What I was thinking as I spoke with Bill about this, I think it would be helpful if we took these towns and pulled together the data if they have made changes in 2019 for the ratios that we built for MFAC.
Yep.
And especially the ones that have the negative fund balances, and then from there make a consideration. I would definitely be putting Derby on the radar. If that comes forward, I would rather not wait for Derby because our next meeting is in July and then the following meeting is in September. I don't want to wait for September for them to show up for the first time. I just think it's too far down the road. And I think it would be helpful if they would voluntarily come forward for the July meeting.
Yep, I think that's a good idea. Also looking at Hamden, who has barely a fund balance.
I would agree. I think Hamden is another one that we need to pay attention to, as well as New Haven. But it would be helpful
to get their 19 numbers.
Yeah, actually, the 19 numbers that have been issued are part of this report, except for, Bill, remind me, Derby, because they're late. Is anybody else late in the tier?
Well, no, we, for anyone that met any of the tier eligibility, we looked at their 19 numbers to see if their tier status would have changed. The only one we could look at would have been Derby because we don't have their 19.
Yeah, yeah. So Derby being late in providing it, I think it's also another reason to ask them to at least come forward.
Yes, I agree. Bill, do you want to draft a letter for me to send to them?
Sure, I definitely can.
Okay.
Thank you, Kate.
Okay. All right. So go ahead. I hear somebody.
We can move on to the presentation.
Yep.
Yeah. So Bill, myself, and Julian recently presented on May 14th to the Connecticut CPA, and we were asked to do a presentation. I think Jean offered us up, and I think Bill has been out in the horizon for a long time and wouldn't come forward, but excuse me, we had an opportunity to speak to them about the monitoring municipal fiscal health system that we're building. And this presentation actually, excuse me, allergies are killing me. This presentation gives them a walkthrough of the history of, how we got here and the background. And it does talk to them about the MFAC and how that all established. We gave a snapshot of the fiscal indicators and the reporting that we provide, and it actually moves through the, looking at that data that you're already familiar with, which, is great information, but also because it takes a whole city to complete the fiscal indicators, it's a valuable report. We want to be able to get that information sooner. Julian then went on to talk about the new legislature that has been built, and then we then gave them a snapshot of the MARB, and we talked to them about the tier structure and the new triggers that are coming forth with the new legislature. Bill, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, go ahead. No, I didn't. No.
Okay. And down into the report, it really gets into the tier 3 referrals of MFAC. That's on page 20. And some of the things that gets you to that, our oversight or a condition that we would then in the future take a look at. The triggers this year, 2019 is when we're starting to pull the data based on the legislature. So we did not have that data in the past. We are building that as we speak. Bill, any comments on that area?
We do want to take another look at some of the criteria. I believe these were the ones that the commission had wanted to look at, and we might have thought that maybe there were a little bit, when we tried to analyze some of the data, it was a considerable amount. So we may look to tweak, of course, with the commission's approval, some of the items that we looked at. But this would represent the major ones, right?
And I would agree. I think that we've also, myself, Bill, and Julian have been working with the governmental sustainable group that comes out of Michigan, and it does bring in all other states. And we're learning that there is like a snapshot of data that is needed. So we may not need to go as deep as we originally built. We don't want them to be cumbersome, but we do want the red flags. We do want to get to the warning state of so that it's I call it that flash report, you know, and if you choose to go to a deeper dive, that would be helpful. Bill, I think it would be helpful if you didn't mind, let's talk about our current state of how we are collecting the data and what we're aiming to move towards, which was page 23 of the presentation.
Okay, sure. Yeah, currently, you know, we start collecting the data ourselves, Gene, Morgan, and I, by basically going through all 169 reports, identifying certain information every year. And most of that is from the financial statements, but there is also a considerable amount from the notes to the financials or the RSI in regards to pension and OPEB. And so that information is collected for all 169, and then we do a quality review of all that data, and then, you know, run through various applications, Microsoft Access, PDF, maps, things like that. So in order to get this information more readily available, the new process under development would be, and we're starting to work on it, where there's a template that's provided each year to the municipalities, and basically it's you know, fill-in form, and they would fill that in a Microsoft Excel worksheet, and working with your auditors, they would complete that template, and at the same time that the audit reports are submitted to OPM annually, that template would also be uploaded as part of the audit package. And from there, we would do some selected quality reviews, and that should save considerable amount of time, freeing us up more time to do more analytical work in regards to the actual data.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill. So because we have other financial folks of municipalities on this call, and others of expertise, I'd like to hear your feedback about that process, because when we move forward, we do have some snapshots of some of the data, of the existing data that has come forward. Wanted to get your thoughts about that, because one of the things that we have learned is that at this very moment, we're collecting your data from the towns and we're entering it. And a lot of the other states make the data the town's data, rather than it is, you know, OPM taking your data and plopping it. And then this way, all of the ownership of the data is still your data, versus our data or our analysis. Instead, we'll just be reporting on your data. That's the mindset.
I would expect some grumbling at first of like, oh, another thing we have to do. But it makes a heck of a lot more sense to have it done locally rather than have the OPM staff try and weed through and do all the information, do all the entering.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree with that as well. I mean, I don't think it's that much of a burden really to ask the individual municipalities to provide that at the time the audit is submitted. And I actually like the idea that it would be submitted at the same time that the auditors submit the report to you.
Yeah.
In fact, as a quality control, we're going to require the auditor to do the upload, so that then we do not have to worry about those small towns that are have administrative help uploading the data versus an auditor. We will know that they are certifying that data, you know, meets and ties with their financial statements.
Oh, one more thing for the auditors to do. They'll love that one.
Sorry.
Will they bill us for that? I'm wondering.
I don't know. Well,
but no, that is a good idea. I think that, you know, at least takes the, you know, it's a very objective way of it coming up to you.
Okay. Well, one of the things that we are looking to incorporate, and of course, Bill will cringe right now, is that we are looking to incorporate the UCOA side of it. And honestly, I don't want to have a separate system. I would like to, my goal is to eliminate that system and have one system of entry where it all is coming through. We may have, my goal is that they would not have to submit, the UCOA will be built into the template.
Okay.
So when we talk about that, I think it would be helpful if anybody on this call or has a recommendation. We are looking for beta sites to, as we start to build these templates, and knowing that this is a commission, that what other data we think is important that we want to capture, because right now we currently have to reach out for some of this information that's non-financial. So would any of the towns be willing to participate as a beta?
To test this for you now, you mean? I don't mind doing it.
Yeah, we aren't ready. Yeah, we would right now we're going to test it in-house and do it. But what I would love to do is get some feedback and input on the templates that we start to build for the towns, and the new structure.
I'll ask my finance director if she's willing.
Okay.
This is Anne Marie. I would be willing to take a look and give you feedback.
Oh, thank you, Anne Marie.
Yep.
And Diane, did you say yes?
I did, yes.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys actually reaching out and looking for feedback. Like, usually it's sort of after the fact, and we all kind of go, huh?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just want it to be, hopefully it will be user friendly, and hopefully if we eliminate the UCOA and it moves over to this other system, that I don't want it to be erroneous. I really don't. I know it'll be different. I know it'll be a change. You'll have a transitional year, but our goal is to be able to roll this out with 2020.
Well, it'll be great for Plymouth because we just sent over our 2019 UCOA data, and that's the first time we've ever sent in UCOA data. So, it won't be a big change for us.
Sorry. So let's move on to the new, I would call it a new system, but right now all it is at this very moment on page 24 is a quick snapshot of Bill, is this first one town? I think this is one town, correct? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, yes.
Yeah, that is one town. And so this is a snapshot of the data that we have collected that is already sitting in our database, but it has been put into the new automated system. So we put in the historical data for 5 years. So then when the new data gets entered in, you will then be able to see a trend. You will also have access to the system, and you will be able to run your own reports. You'll be able to see your own trend analysis. You will be able to strike the system and be able to run your own reports. Moving on is some samples of reporting this is just the data sets for, liabilities and bonds on page 25. And you can then see some quick snapshots of the ratios that we built in.
That's great.
Yeah. Again, moving forward with the pension plans, all of their pension plans, and your will give you a snapshot. It will also give you your.
Kim, you're fading in and out.
Yeah, we're losing you, Kim.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you still hear me?
We're losing, some words.
Okay. Moving on to the page 27, you'll see that this is a snapshot of the we have 4 indicators for. This is the indicators that MFAC you asked us to build. Bill built these, and then what the criteria is and the benchmarks, and then you have the outcomes over to the right-hand side. So operating results fund balance has 4 indicators. That's where you're seeing 1, 2A, 2B, and number 3, and the results from one particular town. Debt management. So everything that we showed you of the data that was in the front end, this is the criteria for the ratios. Moving on all the way down to 31 is the dashboard for one of the indicators. So here's a quick picture. And commission, this MFAC, you will recall that Bill had built these. It is all now been put into the system, so it's automated, and then it isn't going to be as a large lift for Bill to complete these.
Yep, that's great.
Yeah, and so then here is a quick snapshot to let you know the outcomes. Is it a favorable outcome? Is it an unfavorable outcome? Like indicator number 2A, that it might be something we want to take a look at. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a quick snapshot of the new system.
That is really great work.
Thanks.
It's very, very nicely done. And I really enjoy, as I've mentioned before, having the graphics in there. I think that's very helpful to give the picture.
Oh, yeah. Because not everybody learns and absorbs differently. You need both the graphics and the number charts for different people.
We agree.
Terrific job.
Thank you.
Anybody have any comments or questions on that?
None.
None.
I have none.
Okay. Do we have any other business to come before the board? All right. Hearing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
I'll second.
Bill, I don't think we need to call the roll.
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And do note that I believe Becky has left.
Yeah, we
Okay,
have.
anybody opposed to adjourning?
No.
All right, then I say at 11:13, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.